This is music, and this is another bunch of songs from the Pukebox. Welcome to another episode of Songs from the Pukebox, the worst title What's Spinning series ever. In these videos, I share with you some of the stuff that I have been listening to over the last week or so. So the idea is not to document everything I've listened to, but more to kind of pick out some things, share them with you, maybe recommend them, maybe even warn you against them. So I have actually a good stack of vinyls I managed to listen to this week, and also a good stack of CDs. So we better get down to business. Up first, doesn't look like much. This is Hello Nasty by the Beastie Boys. I do have the digipack it came in stored safely somewhere else, so don't you worry about that. This is probably my favorite, if not my favorite, at least one of them, rap and hip hop albums. You have a lot of great songs on here, like Intergalactic Planetary, and you got Body Moving, and so much great stuff on here. And what I like is if you listen to a lot of the deep cuts, you get into, instrumentals and jazzy songs and funky songs and just like weird songs that are not rap and hip hop. So the rap hip hop songs are great on here, but you also have a lot of other genres that are great as well on here too. So that's why it's one of my favorite rap and hip hop albums. Something completely different. Bon Jovi's self-titled debut album. Good, clean, fun, hard rock for the entire family. If you ignore some of the lyrics, of course. There's some ballads on that I don't care that much for. But you have like Runaway. It's a great and catchy song. No surprise there that was a hit. So you got lots of those just catchy, uplifting, fun hard rock songs on this one. By the way, these CDs, I just brought them with me to work, and I listened to them in my office at work while working, including this one here too, M144 by Burning Red Ivanhoe. I don't know how many of you guys know this band. It's a Danish progressive rock band, avant-garde rock band, perhaps. Some people have described them as a psychedelic band, in Danish, syre-rock, which means acid rock. I don't think they're that psychedelic. I mean, they're avant-garde, and it reeks of 68 and the 70s, but that's because this is when this stuff was from. But you got some straightforward, kind of still weird not hard rock songs, but just rock songs, like almost classic rock songs. There's not really any hard rock on here, to be honest, but some straightforward rock songs. You got your weird jazz rock songs as well. You got some, bona fide progressive rock songs. You have, I think it's Kasiloi, which is an almost disturbing, obnoxious song. I think that's the one, so check it out. And you have some live stuff as well. There's an EP on here too. I really enjoy listening to this. If you are a progressive rock fan and you don't know Burning Red Ivanhoe, check him out just to see if it's your cup of tea. The vocalist has a quite raw voice and a very thick Danish accent, and I think it's Ole Fick who sings on most of the songs. I like his voice, and he's a very accomplished guitarist too. I actually managed to see this band live. I went there with my dad, more than 10 years ago now. Since then, some of the members have passed away, sadly, but I got to see them live, and what a great band if you like progressive rock. More kind of jazz rock, Chick Corea Electric Band. Looking very 80s there. This is just great, and this is the kind of instrumental jazz rock music I love to listen to in the background while doing stuff. And it's also great to listen to, I would say, mindfully and focusing on all the details. It's very pleasant as well. I mean, it draws on jazz fusion, just like Burning Red Ivanhoe. They draw on avant-garde jazz and jazz fusion. And typically when people think jazz fusion, they think like weird stuff that's not pleasant to listen to a lot of people. But this is really chill. I really enjoy listening to this. This is great stuff. Up next, some hard rock, extreme, pornography, funky hard rock. You got to get the funk out. You got He-Man Woman Hater on here. I would say those are hits. There's also More Than Words. I gotta be honest, I skipped that one, but I listened to the rest of the album. Great stuff if you like your funky hard rock with just a touch of sleazy glam rock as well. Check out Extreme. Nuno Bettencourt, fantastic guitarist, because it is him in this band, right? You tell me. Now some more Danish stuff. Shine by Filfraz or Filfraz, which we call it here in Denmark, the band. The album is called Shine. I would say this is kind of a mix of a classic rock and alternative rock. It sounds very 90s. Some good songs on here for sure, but not that many memorable songs. Train is pretty memorable, and the title track Shine as well. That's actually a very good kind of groovy song, but it's I don't mean this as an insult, but it's kind of maybe a poor man's version of The Cult, but it's not bad. It's very good stuff. I enjoy listening to this from time to time. But this album, also by Filfraz, Electric Eel, is much better. They've just grown immensely as musicians and songwriters. The opening track, Surfer, is a fantastic song with some kind of alternative guitar playing with, where you have whammy bar action incorporated into the main riff. I don't know if it's progressive, that song, but it's certainly almost kind of experimental in a way. You have I Used to Love Her, But I'm All Right Now, which is kind of uplifting. You have Something Coming Your Way, and you have Naked, both of which are very inspired by the Beatles. You have Cruel Psycho Candy. There's Sex Knife, which is just full of innuendos. There's a song called Here Comes the Monkey. It's actually full of naughty innuendos, this album. So lyrically, you might think that this is a glam metal, a sleaze metal band, but no, it's an alternative rock band. On this album, and it's great. If you just like rock music, check this one out. Doesn't hurt. Up last, Stand Up by Jethro Tull. So they're progressive rock legends. They hadn't really, in my opinion, found their stride yet on this one, but there are hints of what they later became known for. You got the opening track, A New Day Yesterday, is a really cool heavy blues song. So you got lots of that heavy blues stuff. Psychedelic, I think you can call a lot of the stuff on here psychedelic. You also have the kind of hints of the folky stuff that they would be known for later. And you also have a bit of the more progressive rock stuff that they would be known for later. And it's just a great rock album in general. So do check it out if you are kind of interested in progressive rock and where it came from and what some of the legends in that genre, what their music has sounded like throughout their careers. Very, very good stuff. So those were the CDs. Let's turn to the vinyl. Death, Scream, Bloody Gore. So now we're talking death metal. Their debut album, kind of raw sounding death metal. I guess this does qualify as filthy, horrible death metal, as Mark G with a C would say. It's actually very thrashy. When I listen to it, I think thrash metal. I mean, early death metal was very thrashy. It was basically thrash metal, just taken up a notch, and then it kept being taken up another notch and another notch and another notch, until it became super extreme death metal. But Scream, Bloody Gore, And while I was at it, why not also spiritual healing, and of course the pink one, leprosy. So Death is one of my favorite bands of all time. In just full disclosure, these 3 albums are typically not the ones I reach for when I feel like listening to Death. I am more into the Human and Onwards part of their discography, the more progressive stuff. That does not mean that I don't like this internet who can only think in black and whites. I love these albums too. I just like the other ones better, and I think it's because I got into Death with Symbolic. But these are great as well. And I would say this is the only one really that's really raw. These 2 here, you can already hear some hints of what you would find on Human and Onwards. So there's more melody on these. The guitar tone is just amazing on these 2 albums. So these are definitely death metal legendary albums that if you are a death metal fan and you haven't heard these, I mean, you would do well to check them out and see if you like them. Like I said, I love these albums here. I'm just more into the more kind of progressive death metal stuff that Chuck Schuldiner would do later on with Death. But yeah, because I don't reach for these that often, I decided to, give them a spin. Because they're good, like I said. Up next, this one here, released from Agony by Destruction. This is a picture disc. This is a picture disc from back in the day. And it sounds great. You wouldn't think it's a picture disc from back when it actually came out. It sounds better than some of the newer picture discs I have. And remember that, in my opinion, picture discs nowadays sound pretty good compared to what they sounded like back then. So this is, I don't know if this is a miracle. It's a fantastic thrash metal album. Compared to their earlier stuff, this is very technical. And the cover art here, that's an image that has stuck with me since I was a kid and saw it and was freaked out by it the first time, but also kind of fascinated with it. For my money, a thrasher piece, to be honest. And some more thrash metal. Impact is Imminent by Exodus. And this here is, along with Fabulous Disaster, this is my favorite Exodus album. I am a Zedro Zuza guy. That's my favorite eras, I guess, because he's kind of been in the band in and out, and he's of course with them now again. Has been for a long time. That's my favorite era of Exodus. And what I like about Impact is Imminent and also Fabulous Disaster, in addition to the songs, all of which are great, that's the guitar tone. It's kind of like a razor sharp guitar tone. Very, very, very recognizable. I love the guitar tone on these albums. I love the music too, of course. Fantastic songs. And my favorite album of all time, of course, I listen to this every now and then, Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden. I love all the songs on here. I love the performance. I love the production. I know they use guitar synths. I don't care. I love that too. Bruce Dickinson sounds fantastic on this album. Maybe because when they recorded this album, he had kind of retired temporarily from writing songs and getting too involved in all sorts of other things. So he just focused on being the singer and practicing fencing and all that stuff, working his way up to an Olympic level even of fencing. This is my favorite album of all time. And, you know, I reached the point where I get emotional when I hear the guitar solos and all that stuff, especially Adrian Smith's guitar solos. All the songs on here are great. The title track, Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, fantastic. Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, the first Iron Maiden song I ever heard. Deja Vu is an underrated kind of deep cut. Alexander the Great, a lot of people love that song. Might be my least favorite epic Iron Maiden song, but I still love it. Internet who can only think in black and white. Favorite album of all time. Super biased, of course, but I love it, and of course I listen to it every now and then. Here's another favorite album of mine, and Justice for All by Metallica. I know the production is wonky. You can't hear the bass. The drums are the loudest instrument. The guitars are really loud and have this weird guitar tone. I love the production though. I couldn't imagine this album without this wonky production. I know the production is bad, but it's become iconic. You know what I mean? I do think that this is the album where James Hetfield sounds the best on here. That might be a controversial statement. He does actually sound great on 72 Seasons, I think. He does some things you haven't really heard him do before, but this is, along with Master of Puppets, this is my favorite Metallica album. I was in a band. We ended up kind of writing our own songs, but it started out being a Metallica cover band, and we played Shortest Straw. So that's one of my favorite Metallica songs, just for that reason. I love the title track too, the weird stuff Lars Ulrich does with the drums, and it all just comes together very well. I know you can't hear the bass, but it's become an iconic, wonky production. Great album, in my opinion, and of course I want to listen to it every now and then. And now this one here, Poderoso como el trueno by Obus. Spanish heavy metal, traditional heavy metal, hard rock. Great stuff, super catchy. There's a song on here called Dinero Dinero, which I absolutely love because it's so catchy. The chorus is just amazing. Great album if you like traditional heavy metal, for sure. And if you want to hear heavy metal music sung in another language than English, I think this is a good place to go. Great album, catchy stuff, traditional metal, and it's out on Mausoleum Records, as you can see, and that's a label that I'm a big fan of. So there you go. And up last, the soundtrack from Godzilla Raids Again, or Gojira, as you know, as they call Godzilla in Japanese. I do think that the original movie has the best soundtrack, just because the theme is so iconic and so haunting as well. But there's some very, very good stuff on here too. This is a great soundtrack as well. So if you're a fan of soundtracks, check out this one. By the way, came from a massive Godzilla soundtrack box set that I bought. And I was lucky enough to, it was still expensive, but I was lucky to find it in like maybe $100/euro, whatever, cheaper than it costs in most places. So there you go. And I managed to listen to more stuff than this, but I wanted to highlight these things. So if you want to check any of this out, do check it out. Thanks for watching.